Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Thursday night, so it is time once again for the Tank Show, where we hope to spend some time acquiring new knowledge. And I almost forgot to hit the second go live button. But I did, and it's not another one of those bloopers where we talk for 30 minutes off air. I love the T-shirt there. Got the wild fish tanks, rocking
Yep.
the prime time aquatics because people
Oh,
always like
very
to
cool.
ask what shirt we're rocking. Um, so John and Lisa are still going. So before we get started tonight, so to speak, just I guess a couple of updates and things like that. I tend to talk a lot, Ed. So would you like to go first on what's been going on in the fish room with you this week?
Well, I don't know if a whole lot's gone on. It's been just a kind of a crazy week, but I went to my local fish store, Aquatic Aesthetics. What?
Love them.
Aquatic Aesthetics. Well, they had, he specializes in small fish. He doesn't normally have anything large, but he had about a 9-inch, I don't know, or 8-inch red devil, about that big, and it was in, I think, a 30 long, because he really doesn't have huge tanks in his shop because he wants a lot of little types of fish. And well, he does have a giant reef tank, but nevertheless, this guy, he was a coward, so that he said that it was a turn in. Somebody had it with African cichlids, and
Okay.
I guess it was just terrified of everything, and he had it for like 2 weeks and was just hiding in a log the whole time. Well, he gave it to me for free yesterday, and I put it in because I've got a 200 kind of cube tank, and I've got two thread fin Acara females. I've got a green spotted Severin that I got at the club down south. I've got one of those giant Synodontis. It's about a foot long. And then I've got my favorite Weischer in there. And so I thought, well, we'll see how it goes. And I put that guy in, and the first thing he did was lock lips with one of the girls. And they went like this. And then they both realized that they had locked lips, and they went opposite sides of the tank. So I'm thinking, well, that could be good. He hasn't locked lips with anybody, but he likes to swim like in circles around the other fish. So he's definitely like trying to be the tank boss. But it's kind of funny because he goes over to the Weischer, and then he's like, no, never mind. It's because he doesn't want to mess with the Weischer. And my Weischer is so funny because she's such a sweet fish. But every time I get a new fish in the tank, the first time I drop the predator pellets, they all float to the bottom in this one area. She'll sit on them and look up at the new fish and just sits on all the food. It's the only time she's aggressive at all about anything. But so I don't know. I haven't seen anybody damaged. There's like the Severin had a little, I think, tear on his lip a little, so maybe he tried to lock horns with him or lock jaws with him. But other than that, I think they've been pretty good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, the tank is directly in front of me. Now, I took a photo right beforehand. It's a pretty horrific photo, guys, because I'm literally sitting behind a computer shooting over it. But I'm going to show you guys what the guy looks like. Oh, that's him. And the only snail in my tank. That one snail has been in there for like 3 years. He just stays on the front. He's about an inch big. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, James. Do you know much about the Red Devils?
I kept one years ago, but it's been so long. That was back in my monster fish keeping days, so to speak. I do remember that particular one, which all fish can have their own individual personalities, but that particular one certainly lived up to the name Red Devil. But I don't remember any like certain issues or problems or anything like that I really had out of it. Just understanding that this is the behavior of that particular fish, and to keep it accordingly.
Yeah, we'll hope for the best. And I kept the bucket, so I'll bring him back in the bucket if it doesn't work out.
Absolutely. Well, that is pretty cool. I'm glad that you got a new big fish in there. I know you love the guppies, and I love the guppies, but it's nice to have some some big standout fish that you can, you know, personally identify versus, oh, that's guppy number 37. I nicknamed that one Carl.
Yeah.
So
I would like to get some more Severins because I really like them. They're really a nice fish.
They are a nice fish. They're rather pretty too. All right, before I get too far and forget about it, not that I would ever forget Sean, but it did disappear from my other screen. Sean Chadwick, thank you so much for that $3 super sticker with the thumbs up, fist bump, exercise pair. Appreciate you, my friend, if you're still hanging out. I know a lot of times you catch the replays. So thanks for swinging by and doing that before the stream even got started. You regulars know what the deal is here. I see a lot of it in the chat. But in case you're new, hello, welcome, and thank you, KG Tropicals, for the send over. Appreciate you very much, John and Lisa, keepfishkeeping.com. If you have a question or comment you'd like for us to read live on the air, if you'll put at Fishroom Fever along with that question or comment, that helps it highlight on my screen. And we will do our best to help you out or just read your hellos if that's what you throw out there. Case in point, Gina's Reef said, Fishroom Fever asked my boss about the add-on for the BRS roadie system. I'll definitely have to talk to you more about that, Gina, because I am curious about that product that we talked about on that random pop-up open panel stream, which was a lot of fun, a lot of interesting topics.
It really was.
So
very
I had a
educational.
good time doing that. Absolutely. And it was nice having a good group of people that had a vast experience base and knowledge base to do it. So that was fun. And again, Gina, thank you for being on there. Matthew said, hey, I made it. Always good to see you, Matthew. What's an easy low light carpeting plant for the Venti 1 gallon? So I like, so people might yell at me about quote unquote low light. But with the light that you have on there, I haven't tried that Venti light, but just looking at it from your video and where I've seen it in person a couple times, I feel like it would do okay for Monte Carlo, which is a very slow carpeting plant, but it's a 1 gallon tank. And that's why I think it would be easy to not have to A, spend a whole lot to get it started up front, and B, would not take a whole lot of time for it to spread out sufficiently to carpet out in that 1 gallon tank. So that would be my thoughts. What about you, Ed?
I bought this guy off of Amazon. It's a disc light. So the idea is they can go over like an orchid and shoot straight down on an orchid, but it'll also work for aquatic plants. It's not super bright. It's a LED. I've made it into the top of my diver's bell because it's only a 3 gallon tank. So, but I think it only cost. Now, okay, LEDs on Amazon have really gone up. I think at the time I bought it was like $7.99, but I think they're about $12.99 probably now. They've almost like tripled, or not tripled, but jumped 33% is what I've been noticing. But
yeah, absolutely.
You can just set that right on top.
So Gabriel, and I'm going to butcher your last name probably, Mortier, says, 10 gallon, I have 2 female bettas, 3 cories, and believe it or not, a Jack Dempsey coexisting. All the same size at the moment. Bigger tank on the way. Thoughts? I can provide video footage. I heard you, I heard your comment being read in the discussion regarding it over in the KG Tropicals chat. I believe you without video footage. It's not that things can't work for certain time frames. I think the best way that a lot of us like to put it is it works until it doesn't. My thoughts on it would be kind of like my comment in KG Tropicals, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but my thoughts are I have a 6-inch Jack Dempsey that's in with 4 other bichers, but the bigger ones specifically are the Ornatopenis, the ornate bichers, and they range from 11 to 13 inches. And that Jack Dempsey is the tank boss, meaning he decides who does what, when, and how. He makes sure he gets his food first, and the bichers wait their turn or go off and eat food from the other parts of the tank, which is why I like to disperse it into the current. So just keep that in mind. That fish is not afraid and quite capable of putting a 13-inch bicher in its place. So it's definitely something to consider in terms of as that fish grows and the bettas and the cories stay relatively small speaking, it definitely can do a lot of damage. And I'd say statistically is likely to do a lot of damage. So I would say if you are going to continue to cohabitate them all in the same tank, and I don't know what the bigger tank is on the way, but if you are going to continue to cohabitate them, I would highly 100% advise you to keep an eye on it very, very closely. I would I would be kind of concerned myself. And again, I'm just going off of personal experiences, with all of those fish bettas and jacks and Corey's and all that.
Yeah.
Knowing the JDs, the Jack Dempseys that I've had and kept in the past, I would kind of just be waiting for the day when something went wrong. Not to say that it 100% will, because things happen and there's crazy stuff. And, I cohabitated and co-bred red-bellied piranhas with maculatus piranhas, which is not anything I would ever recommend somebody trying. It just sort of happened in that particular instance that it worked out. And it wasn't a massacre, and they really didn't bite each other very often. I really don't even remember having to take them out for hospital treatments. So things can happen that aren't necessarily the status quo, but I would look at statistically probably won't end well in the long run, unfortunately. In terms of the two female bettas, I'm not the go-to person on betta sororities. I definitely would defer to Lisa at KG on that. But I feel like from what I have seen with betta sororities and read about it and all that, in order to be fairly successful, having more than two for a betta sorority seems to be the go-to thing, just to kind of keep everybody happy and from destroying each other. I'm not saying I would recommend adding more bettas to that particular case, but those are just my thoughts on it. Ed, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, you would think that, or we like to think that if we raise our fish young together, they'll always be friends like dogs and cats. But dogs and cats have a lot more brain power than our fish. Our fish are very instinctual. Is that the right word? They have just thoughts, and when they see something big enough they can eventually eat, they'll do it, even though they've been tank mates forever. But that said, James once had a black skirt tetra in with a whole mess of great big cichlids, and they all love that little guy. So, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Yeah. And then my thoughts on the bettas is you can have I've seen boy bettas in the same tank if it's a big enough tank, because they'll take regions and they would rather not fight if they don't, if they have enough space and they don't see each other, they will just stay. And I mean, this tank I saw had 3 male bettas. They never looked at each other and they didn't fight. So, if Absolutely. You have a big tank, it works. But
most definitely, yeah. I mean that's another thing. Again, not knowing how big the tank is, you could have a 220 gallon on the way, in which case it would probably be okay, especially if it had lots of plants and hiding spaces. And that Jack Dempsey might never even ever see those bettas to even bother. So, there are so many variables that we could digress onto, but that's kind of my thoughts. Is if you continue to cohabitate those, I would keep an eye on it 100%. Paul Stero, thank you, Mr. Mod, there for reminding people to get me completely off track. Put at Fishroom Fever at Fishroom Fever. I can't English today, and that will highlight your question or comment. Pegasus Arena letting us know no word back yet on that 3-bedroom, but going to fill out some paperwork for a different home tomorrow. Wish her luck. Good luck, Rena. I hope that turns out well and that one of those comes through for you. So I do want to talk. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ed.
I found that little round light on eBay. Oh, nice. And I said it was $7.99. Now they're $14.99. So it's kind of a bummer, but they're nice little tank lights just for little bitty tanks.
And absolutely. They are.
I like round. So
I do want to do a follow-up to last week's stream where we talked about breeding fish and live foods, because I didn't really get to cover 100% of what I wanted to talk with on the live foods, but I'm going to get through some of the chat first to get some Q&A taken care of so that I don't get too far behind.
For sure.
Get back up here. All right, there was Rena's comment. Drink water. Been a member for 14 months using that membership milestone super chat. Says 13 months again. Howdy, everyone. Yeah, YouTube's crazy about putting the wrong membership link on that main little thing that you all see. So I don't know, but drink water is always thank you for being a member. Members, I did a new thing. It was a little time consuming, but worth it to say thank you to you all. I did add a list of everyone and a thank you into this week's video, and I think I'm going to continue doing that for future videos. If for some reason you're a member and you don't want to be on there, I'll make a post in the member section that anybody could comment and be like, hey, I don't want my name on there. I don't want it public for whatever reason, and I won't put your name on there. But thank you for being a member, part of the Fish Room Fever family of Fish Room Fever family. I see Xanadu there, gifted 5 Fish Room Fever memberships. Thank you so much, Xanadu. Always greatly appreciated. Been a long time friend and supported the channel, and a member yourself, of course, and a purchaser of fish when we were doing that. And we'll get back to that in the not too distant future. So thank you so much for that. Chat jumped on me. Let me get back up here. All these awesome people with questions and comments. 14,000 people hanging out right now. Thank you so very, very much. Get back up here. All right, it ran away on me. Ed, you got anything you want to say while I'm fixing my chat here?
Well, thinking real quick. I see Rat Cross is here, and I don't know. I think he joined as a member, but we want to promote his channel, Rat Cross Studios, and it's amazing, guys. He's starting off from scratch, so we want to get him to 100, and then he'll just keep going from there. I'm sure,
Absolutely.
It takes time to get the word out.
And he did. Rat Cross Studios became a member. Rat Cross, as always, thank you. For anybody that missed it, I had an awesome unboxing from Rat Cross under the Bird Garden channel name that I did a while back, where he sent some really cool stuff. Yeah, he is a great guy. He's one of those that when I first started doing the whole YouTube-y thing, was very welcoming and inviting and said, hey, how can I help? Here's some thoughts. If you ever need anything, let me know. So always have appreciated his support from the get-go.
And he
Scuba Steve-O. Oh, yeah, still loves fish. But, I mean, it's okay to love other things as well. Yep. I mean, Scuba Steve-O's Aquatics says, hey, James and Ed, my favorite YouTubers.
Woohoo!
Love you, brother. Scuba Steve-O, always good to see you. Awesome person. And again, congrats on that winning that award there back at the Triple Crown for the cichlid. Very, very cool. Pistachio says, does it matter between a 75, 90, and 110 fish tank to get? They are all the same dimensions. So height is going to be a big thing. So yes, but also no. It's very much dependent upon what you're wanting to do with that tank. If you're going to have, let's say you're going to do a pleco tank, you're going to do a breeding colony of plecos. They're not really going to care about so much that extra height on top of the tank because it is the same footprint. They're mostly going to stick around on the bottom. Now, the additional water volume that you're adding is nice because you can keep parameters a little bit more steady the larger the water volume is. So in terms of water volume and stability, yes, it does matter. In terms of if you have a fish that's not going to utilize that area, not necessarily. I would not take, let's say, a breeding colony of plecos or even just a tank for the cory cats, a lot of bottom-dwelling fish, and throw them from the 75 to the 90 just because it's a bigger tank and it's a taller tank. And the same could be said for your surface dwellers. They're still getting the same quote-unquote footprint up at the top, up at the surface. So if you've got a bunch of hatchet fish, they're not going to care if it's a 75 or a 90. They're going to stay in that same footprint area. Regardless, they'll just be up at the surface. Now, what it does do is if you go with the taller tanks, it does allow you to kind of utilize where your fish dwell in a more, for lack of better terminology, artistic way, and that you get to see more of that separation. So you're going to see more of that separation in your 90 gallon. If you do have, say, hatchet fish at the top and you've got a whole bunch of cories at the bottom, and then you get a more mid-level swimmer going in there, you can kind of see the layers a little bit more spread out as the tank gets taller. So those would be my thoughts. If you had a specific setup you were going for in terms of stocking, I could probably give you a more precise answer, but just in general, that's what I think. Now over to you, Ed.
Well, I think you hit all the points, really. The only thing that you didn't mention, and I mean, all yours was the good stuff, is what size of room are you filling it? You know, like what's the furniture? You know, do you have the space to do the tank? But if they all have the exact same footprint, I say go big.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong with that. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, finished my 40 breeder, 7 black neons, 7 cardinal tetras. Wow, I really cannot English today. What's going on with that? 5 glow light tetras, 5 peacock gudgeons, 4 hillstream loaches, 3 diamond tetras, and 2 African dwarf frogs. Thanks for all your help. I'm sure it looks absolutely beautiful, Hip Hop Hillbilly. And I appreciate you hanging out with us and bringing us along on that adventure and asking questions and coming back and letting us know what you've done with that as you've been going through that setup process. It's been fun. And I'm glad that you've got it quote unquote finished. And I hope that you very much get to enjoy that for a long time to come.
Now with those cardinal tetras, I hope he has some wood in the tank or something to make it pretty soft. Because I know that the cardinals love the soft water.
You can, yeah. And you could wood is a great one. I don't remember honestly what we talked about with hardscape or what was shared with us from hip hop about the hardscaping. I know we talked about it over multiple episodes, multiple streams. And the other thing is you could always add just a little bit of like a catappa, an Indian almond leaf. Just start low and just to break down just the tiniest bit to find a happy medium between all your fish. Matthew is saying, thanks. Yeah, I probably need to buy only 1 or 2 pots of Monte Carlo for the 1 gallon. It's a small dimension. Yes. I'm cheap and lazy, right? As I like to say. So I would probably start off with 1 and go from there. Last I saw, you did the unboxing, but you hadn't set it up. If that's still the case, honestly, I would recommend just get 1 and do a dry start method on it. If you're not familiar with that, you can search it on YouTube. There's so many people that have covered the dry start method. And that is going to allow you to spread that out a little bit quicker, grow that Monte Carlo out faster, and get your carpet and then get it converted over. So I'd look into that if it were myself.
I want to try that someday.
Oh, yeah, it's fun stuff. I'm playing with a lot of things I haven't shown yet. I'm working on converting some quote-unquote aquatic plants over and propagating that way. I'm working on converting over some quote-unquote not aquatic plants. And I've just got a bunch of fun experiments going on at the moment. So that's always a good time to have little things going. Nice. White Master Supreme forever. Always great to see you. So since you know I adore you both and everyone in the chat, I have a question. We adore you too, Wing Master. Why are you not all here with me at the AMC Theater watching Jaws in 3D? I didn't get the invite. It must have gotten lost in the mail.
It's going to be at the Tennessee Aquarium. What's it called? Not iPhone. IMAX. It started today, so it's like, well, I obviously can't do it today, but it's going to go until the 8th. So I was going to call my sister up and see if maybe she'd like to go this Sunday, because I would love to do that myself. It costs $13.50 cool. Here in Tennessee. I even checked that out.
That is awesome. We have Oink Master Supreme forever becoming a member. I think rejoining though, coming back to the Fisherman Fever family, so to speak. Thank you for re-upping that membership. Very much appreciated. Doing a little happy dance there. And bring my chat back to me here. There we go. Appreciate you, Oink Master, and I hope you're doing well. Let's go through here. And there was where Rat Cross Studio became a member. Welcome to the team, brother. Paul Sotero says, one of my stingrays crapped one of my stingrays crapped out on me today. Before ordering a new light, I swapped out the inline transformer with one from a light I wasn't using. Result, the light works, saved big. That's awesome. I'm glad you were able to fix that, Paul. You were one of those awesome people that can get in depth with some things, like a lot of us are. A lot of us get into the DIY and the problem solving and stuff like that. Speaking of which, tomorrow's video is the DIY brine shrimp hatchery. I've got that running in the background, which I'm using the green screen today, so you can't see the green screen. But that is the DIY video tomorrow. But I'm glad that that's working and saved you a lot of money. I actually had a hiccup. My linear air piston pump, I don't want to say it went out on me, but I noticed air production was extremely low. And I'm like, I did a thing. What did I do? So I changed out the filter to see if that helped, and it did not. So I was like, I don't really have money for another linear piston pump. And I know these things run like tanks for forever. And I think it was where I had let it run too long and get maybe a little too clogged at a previous point. So I took the whole thing apart all the way down to that linear piston, cleaned everything up. When I put it back together, it sounded awful. It sounded like somebody had a washing machine turned on its side going. And then it was just, I fine-tuned, adjusted the position of it with little screws, tightened everything down, and it works like it's brand new again. So hashtag not sponsored. Shout out to the Coop. I love my linear air pump, and that thing works like a dream. But yeah, sometimes it's a matter of just tinkering with things. And Ed, I know you've had some things like this thing's broken. Oh, look, I fixed it. So that's always nice.
Yeah, it is. It feels good. What I have the worst problems with are hang off the backs. I just, it's the fans break or the engine burns out because it happens. There's a blackout and I'm on a trip or somewhere, and then they run dry and they burn out. And that's probably my number one thing that I throw away. Well, I don't throw them away. I just pile them up in a box. But yeah, that's I hate them, but I keep using them because I like them better than other things.
Absolutely. So I would say the biggest thing with those to help prevent that, which the burnout's really hard to, if you're gone and then power goes off, it runs dry. There's not much you could do about that aside from if you're handy, you could actually set up a doser like you would see in salt water that constantly runs flow in there.
Oh, cool.
Kind of like an aqua lifter, but aqua lifters aren't made anymore. And that way you would have some water getting pushed into it in that event to restart it. But impeller maintenance is where I see most people kind of lacking. Not that you are, Ed, but that's where I see a lot of people have failures, is when they clean their filter, they're not opening up that housing, cleaning the impeller area in there, pulling the impeller out, rinsing it off, because you can get biofilm buildup, even if you don't actually get grit in there, and that biofilm buildup doesn't always necessarily get on there evenly, so it can kind of throw it off whack, and then you can grind out that magnet that's on there, and that typically is what I see when people are like, it stopped working. And then I'm like, well, pull it out of there. And they're like, oh, yeah, this magnet has got all these rings around it where it got, set off kilter, or a grain of sand got in there, and it's just, completely screwed it up. All right, let me get back up to here. Again, thank you, Oink Master and Rat Cross, for becoming members. There was Paul Stero. Hip Hop Hillbilly said, and 2 dwarf garamis. Forgot about them. LOL. That is awesome. Hip hop. I'd love to see that tank. If you ever feel like shooting me a picture, Fish Room Fever on Facebook Messenger or any other platform, shoot me a message. I'd love to see it. That's been fun helping build that tank, so to speak.
I've got a question for you. You've got a website. Is there any way that we could post people's tanks on that website? Like a page? I mean, I'm not trying to make a whole. I may have just asked him to do 80 hours of work or something. I have no idea how that works.
So that's the thing. Is right now the website is kind of a placeholder, if you will. I need to put a lot of work into that, and there are a lot of awesome things like what you're suggesting, and transitioning over some of my videos to article form that I would like to add on there, and basic, information and stuff like that. I think it would be possible I think that the amount of hours that it would take to do it currently, I don't have with, just keeping the fish, breeding the fish, trying to move, building the new fish room, trying to make sure I get out consistent weekly videos, which I've got. You might be seeing 2 videos a week here for a little while, just because there's so many things that I'm backlogged on. Like, I need to get this out. I've been telling people it's coming. So you might start seeing 2 videos a week here for a little bit until I kind of get some things pushed to the front. But it's a doable thing. I just don't have the time to run the website, so to speak, which is why the shop's not even there. Like, I still had dry goods on there and stuff, but I just completely pulled that off. So it's just kind of the basic site. Here are some people that you can check out their stuff and their products, and we'll build it back up once we get the chance to do that and prioritize it.
Yeah, that's probably a good year. I shouldn't even say a year. I shouldn't be doing it any time frame, but we want to get you moved in, and you got a lot of exciting stuff. So,
oh yeah,
that's a low priority, but eventually it'll become a high priority for James. So,
definitely,
we'll see it someday.
Absolutely. There we go. I knew there was a question that slipped through that wasn't highlighted. Casey Rudnick said, "Hey guys, question for you guys. What are your thoughts on the Snow White Pleco? I have a multicolored tank going and think it'd fit in well with angels. Am I wrong?" So if that is the Snow White bristlenose that I've been seeing a fair bit more of lately, I love them. I want some. I need some. That is definitely on my quote unquote acquisition list. There are certain things that I'm looking for that I want to add to the fish room sooner rather than later, even if it means having to have another little temporary rack set up until we do get moved and sorted. I don't see any problem with them going in with the angels. I've kept bristlenose in many other plecos and with angels. The tank that you see behind me here did not have bristlenose in it, but it did have goodness, it had a Sultan pleco, a vampire pleco, a blue phantom, and a green phantom. I feel like there's one other one that was in that tank when it was set up like that, which yeah, it had the vampire in there. There's no problem with the plecos in there. You do hear on very rare occasion where mostly I've heard about it with goldfish and common plecos or even bristlenose sometimes, that they get a taste of the slime coat on those fat white fish and then they start going after the fish. Is it possible that could happen on an angel since they've got that nice wide side? Theoretically, I've never experienced it, but I'm sure somebody out there will probably say, "Hey, I had that happen." But again, a well-fed pleco is not going to go trying to eat other live fish. Generally speaking, it's a fluke if it does happen, in my opinion, which is all I can offer.
I totally agree with everything you said. I think plecos are very nice fish. I can see why people fall in love with them. I have one. And yeah, that's all I have is one. But if I lived in a place where I had a lot of algae for them to eat and everything else, I'd probably do it. But right now, I just want to focus on my bears.
Absolutely. And I don't blame you a bit. I'm having some fun with that. That was one of the things I wanted to share was I am trying a new strain, if you will. I've got 2 females from those Japanese blue-red double sword inlers that we got. Just never did well for me. Never really bred out, even though they were good fish from a good source. But I ended up with 2 females and no males, and I've just kind of had them forever. But I have some, I think they're Japanese Blue Star inlers from LRB back when he had those up for sale. Well, we got them when we went to his house. So I took one of those males, and I already have put it with those 2 females. So I'm going to see what we can maybe get out of that. So that's a fun little live bear project I'm working on.
Nice. That's awesome.
I feel like this chat's about to jump on me. It's getting laggy.
I was told I think it was Doug Gray who was telling me, if you have a female a live bear that doesn't have like a drop after so long, they may eventually build up I don't know what he said, but it almost like not scar tissue, but a blockage where they aren't going to accept male semen to help them get
Gotcha.
pregnant. So
Oh.
if because I had the same thing, I had 2 females from that guy too, and I couldn't get them to breed. I had them forever, and I was asking Doug about that, and he said they probably are too old. So just, I mean, endlers might be a little easier. I don't know too. So
Well, that's good information. That's good to know. I appreciate you sharing that with myself and everyone. We'll keep our fingers crossed. 'Cause I know that at this point they're not dropping any fry from the previous sperm sacs of the other males that were in there. So anything I get is going to be a start on the new line.
Yep.
Of course, chat did move around.
Yeah,
And Paul's saying, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Paul ordered a replacement transformer for less than $15 to fix that light. So that is awesome.
you know,
Very, very cool.
when Paul said he had a stingray crap out on him, I was thinking, wow, I wonder how big of a tank it is. I wasn't
Right?
even thinking the light. I've never owned a stingray light, so I just always think of the fish.
I gotcha. My apologies. I should have specified.
Oh no,
that.
You just read what he said, and I should have thought it out better. And I did after you started talking. I was like, oh, he's talking about the stingray light. Oh well.
All right. Scary Terry's going to trip me up here because I'm not Englishing well today. Scary Terry says, I just got some. Let me move this where I can see it a little better. Cover Ed up. Have Good River, Alaniwapoga, Picta, and Marisai rainbows from Dan's Fish. They're juveniles, but already showing amazing potential in schooling with others. Love it. I will have a rainbow tank. I've kind of fallen in love with them, seeing LRBs in person, going to the rainbow talks. Chit-chatting with Bentley and Bob Steenvot, his influence, of course. I will have a rainbow tank one day, and Dan's Fish is a great source. So I know you've got some high quality fish that I'm sure will do well. And congrats on that. I'm glad that they are showing some potential for you, and that you're enjoying it.
Rainbow short today. That's an LRB tank.
Very cool. Oh, nice. We had the gifted memberships there. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ed.
No, it's all right. I just love rainbows too, and I've only had a couple.
Definitely. I may have missed one or two, but gifted memberships from Xanadu to Casey Rudnick. Welcome to the Fish Room Fever family. There's behind the scenes stuff you can check out. I'm going to do a fish room tour, so to speak. That's just going to be for the members, just because it's not like a fish room tour. It's more of a, this is what I still have going at the moment, and I want to share it with you all. So y'all can check that out. Whizzle Aquatics, or Be Whizzle, I was gifted a membership as well from Xanadu and Geek Boy, and there were 2 more that either I haven't gotten to or I've already passed. But welcome to all of you all, and again, thank you, Xanadu, for doing that. You're awesome, my friend. All right. Can't believe we're actually staying pretty close to on. No, I'm not. The chat just jumped on me. I was like, I don't believe it. I can't be. I mean, like 15 minutes behind is the status quo. It's where I'm expected to be at with the chat. So, but I digress, and we try and get a little bit in depth with stuff when we have questions. So it's going to happen. Get back up here. All right, as far back up. So I'm missing about, looks like 3 minutes, I think, that I've lost here. So if your question or comment was in between the last one I read and a Pistachio saying it's going to be a Central and South American cichlid tank. Very cool. Feel free to throw it back in the chat, and I'll try and grab that. I'm sorry about that. Razor Reef says, Fever, my friend is new to fish keeping, and I bred endlers, so I gave her a full tank setup with an electric Blue Jack Dempsey. I was hoping to make her tank my coal tank. The Dempsey is vegan, though. Yeah, so, I mean, it can happen. You said a lot with people will do a turtle tank for their culls, and then the turtle's just living, and it's like, I don't want to eat these fish. You feed me really good stuff already. Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes. Hello, great to see you. I was enjoying your video the other day.
Dr. Ant.
So yeah, it can happen. But as you probably saw, a lot of people in the chat were like, their personal recommendations and experiences were also maybe get the Dempsey elsewhere. Just to save the bettas, but to each their own. And sometimes we try things and they work, and then they work until they don't work, or they work forever for us, and nobody else can replicate it because it was a special experience.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go through here. All right. There it is. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, I got wood in, but my pH is super high, 8.4. I got the wrong sand substrate. Wound up with crushed rock instead, so the pH is high now, but everyone seems happy. Yeah, so if you ended up with crushed coral, I would definitely get in there with some catappa leaves, some Indian almond leaves. And gradually, I mean, anything we do, what we want to do gradually, whether it's bringing a pH up, bringing a pH down, as crazy as it sounds, even let's say you go and test your tank, it's like, oh my God, I've got 140 parts per million of nitrate. I need to get that down fast. You can actually damage your fish by dropping the nitrates too much, too quickly. So, like, I would always recommend to do a smaller water change, smaller water change, smaller water change versus trying to cut that, down to 25% or half or anything like that instantly, just because you can do damage even in that method by trying to remove something that's quote unquote bad. I would start with just a little bit and gradually add you some catappa leaves. They are so good at adding the tannins and stuff to the water and softening it, adding some acidity, and they're cheap. So it's going to be a little bit easier to do. They're going to leach a little bit better than a lot of woods are. And you can do it in portions. Whereas if you just, I'm going to throw this giant piece of driftwood in there, that's going to just soak the tank out with tannins, that could be a rapid drop and could cause some issues. But I am glad that they're doing well and happy. I would probably try and bring it down some, especially for those tetras that you've got in there, just to get it a little bit closer to neutral. I'm not necessarily saying you need to go to the acidic side, below 7. You could stay on the more alkaline side, but get it closer to neutral if you can, and that will definitely help you with some long-term stuff so that you don't see any issues develop.
Cardinal tetras like to be super soft. They like to be between 4.6 and 6.2. So I think that's why I've had so much problem over the years with my cardinal tetras. I mean, they'll last for a little while, but if they're in perfect conditions, they'll last 4 to 5 years. But I normally have never got them to last over 6 months, and I think it's because I just never go that soft.
Yeah, there are a lot of other variables too, because now we've got a lot of tank bred and raised ones that are being farmed, and they're never seeing that softer water. They're being bred out more towards the aquarist typical water, if you will, which varies so much from place to place. But yeah, that's definitely naturally tetras do definitely like that more acidic, softer water. That's where they come from. That's what they're accustomed to. ABC Aquatic Biotope Creation says, James, I have Anubias nana growing in a terrestrial vivarium for my gecko. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that is awesome.
Awesome.
Northwest Aqua Hobby. Not that he needs a shout out from me, but Northwest Aqua Hobby is an awesome channel that I've been watching a lot and has inspired me. I'm actually going to set up an immersed growth rack in the new fish room when we get that built. But Will there does some really great stuff, and he goes through and he actually shows you his processes. And when he changes something or finds a different way to do it, a better way to do it, he updates it. He's like, hey, I showed you this way to do it, but I found a better way, because he's always tinkering and improving. So I would highly recommend him if you're curious about playing with immersed growth for your different aquatic plants.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to check him out.
Yeah, I love his stuff. The Zen Ginger, been a member for 29 months on Team Zebra, and also one of our awesome moderators here, putting in the work, using that membership milestone. Super Chat says, hi, as one of the longest running members, I would like to see all the FRF GIF emojis, please and thanks, hashtag Team Zebra. Well, let me move my chat since Zen asked for it. Let's do all of them real quick here. Just to show up thank you to her. Do a little dance. We do another little dance. We throw you a couple of thumbs ups there. You face palm because I can't English. This is when Ed says something crazy, and I'm just like, I don't know about that guy.
Were you amazed I looked up at the right time? I was getting a guess. I just gambling.
Little wink for you. Well, what did he just say? And as always, I'm blown away by the love and support from you all. So those are all the ones that I have currently made, Zen. I'll have to play around with those some more. Get through here. Hey there, Susan for SLC Aquatics saying hello. Appreciate you being here in Fish Fam Mom. Awesome mods dropping links and things. Appreciate you very much. All right. Am I going to get caught up? I just might. Finn Wiggles. What's going on, Finn? Appreciate you so much. You've been a long time supporter and friend of the channel. Dropping that $10 super chat. You get both the dances and a double thumbs up because Finn is awesome.
Very nice.
Let me get that back up here so I can read it. $10 super chat says, got up this Thursday morning and felt odd. Took my temp, and sure enough, I got the fever, fish room fever.
Oh, good.
I appreciate it, Finn. And I'm glad that you are healthy. I was worried that you were sick for a second. So you got me there. You got me. But yeah, I appreciate you catching the fish room fever. And I'm glad you don't have another fever. Thank you again for that support. And thank you for being here. Also a member as well. So awesome all around. Thank you so much. Drink Water says, do you have 3X hoodies? I don't see them on the page. Yes, there should be 3X hoodies on there. I can double check. So the thing is, and I'm hoping, do I want to, yeah, I'm going to share this because I started to open my mouth. I'm hoping to transition in the not too distant future, not immediately, but we'll say within the next year, transition off of Teespring. There is a local company that is a friend of mine, and you all know the person, and once they go public, I'll share that with you all. But I'm hoping to get it worked out where I can get things printed directly with them and ship them out directly to you all, which would also mean some better prices, hopefully, for you as well. I keep things as cheap as possible, so there's a lot of stuff I make. I think we upped it to $1.29 from the old 49 cents, just because I appreciate you all wanting to order stuff, so I try and keep it low. But one of the things about Teespring, which is where I digressed, is that some of the colors are not available in certain sizes. So you may look at a color and that color may only run up to a 2X, but it may go up to a 4X in other colors, which is very weird, and I'm not a fan of it. There have been some other quote-unquote creators in the past that have run into that issue. Like, well, I made this product and I only offered these 3 colors, but those 3 colors only went up to an extra large, and so now none of us bigger people can get shirts. So
that's why I don't have a Bob Kaler shirt, because they only go up to 2X, I think.
Yeah, there should definitely be a variant on there that's a 3X. If not, feel free to shoot me a message. I can always go in there and try and find something to make you something special. I went in last weekend after all the streams and made some V-necks because someone had requested them, so I made male and female of those. I'm always happy to do anything I can to tailor to you all.
See, that
and I have a new
so cool about Amazon, or not Amazon, Teesprings, is they make everything instantly. So you can do a lot of stuff, but you never really know for sure your quality and everything else. So. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, you're fine. I was going to say there is going to be a new shirt next week. Shameless promotion, but I had a great idea for a shirt that I'll probably put out later tonight after your stream that I think people will enjoy. And now that it's starting to get on to sound like a promotion, answering that question. Final thing is, Drink Water, you're already a member, so make sure you check over in the community tab. There is a discount code for the members for you all to save a little bit of money in there.
Talking about merch, that is I know you're never supposed to talk about other merch, but we love Delilah, and she has a new shirt, and it's the girl shirt is so freaking cool, but the boy shirt's little. It's got just a little pad. She's got her big logo on the girl shirt. And I mean, I never wished I could have a girl shirt more than now than ever. Maybe I should see if they have, like, I don't know what I am in a size girl. Girl sizes are so hard. I mean,
medium husky,
56. I don't know. They have weird numbers. They don't make any sense to me.
That's so we can understand it. Lady Diane says, I have my first pair of breeding angels that I'll be putting into their own tank. Wow, with the little angel fish emoji. What is your advice from here? So just generalized advice for getting them to breed. I'm 100% big on conditioning in terms of food. I found that pretty much anything I've bred, from plecos to piranhas to zebra dadions, because that kind of surprised me, which those fry are doing well. I can update on that later. Conditioning the parents, helping with fertility and egg development, with having that higher protein diet seems to help a lot. Even with bristlenose, which are not a carnivorous fish at all, I still like to feed them on top of the green beans and other things that I feed. I like to feed brine shrimp infused with spirulina. I like the Hikari BioPure, and that has always done wonders. I've literally started feeding that so that I could breed them, and stopped feeding that when I'm like, I've got too many. Y'all need to quit making babies, and changed a couple other little things, and that's they stopped breeding. Like we want our gourmet back, or we're not giving you babies. Same thing with angelfish. I would look into getting them a good conditioning diet. I would definitely get you some slate in the tank there. One thing I would now, some people might get mad at me about this. There are some old school people that are against methylene blue in terms of keeping fungus off of eggs. H2O2 or hydrogen peroxide is another option. You can look into both of those and choose which you would rather do. But I will say it's great to have that on hand and ready to go, just in case they decide that they're A, not going to take care of the eggs, or B, going to try and eat all the eggs, which falls under the former. That way, if you do have to pull them, you've got something there to help prevent fungusing. And then watch a lot of videos if you're not familiar with upkeep and raising. On the live food kick, I'm a huge fan of live foods, not just for raising fry, but also for kind of promoting and conditioning parents to breed. Like, again, the zebra danios, they're in quarantine still, sitting back there. I started feeding them live food, and now I've got baby zebras. Not a lot, because that's kind of to be expected when they do first start popping out eggs. A lot of times, a lot of those eggs have gone infertile in a female that hasn't thrown eggs in a long time. But huge fan of live foods, and there are some differences. This is where I'll go off on my little live food tangent. So something I would do if you're looking into live foods, look into what you're going to be doing your live foods for. Case in point, if you've got a top feeder, your banana worms, microworms, probably not recommended because those are going to go to the bottom. So you're going to put them in. Yeah, they can catch a little bit on the way, but then they're going to drop down at the bottom. And if you have a fish that doesn't feed at the bottom, they're going to go to waste. So those are great for like your corridors and things like that are going to be feeding around the bottom. Guppies and endlers and things that will feed pretty much anywhere. All my fry for them get the banana worms and soon to be microworms. Vinegar eels. Vinegar eels will stay at the top. They're constantly swimming to the top for oxygen, so to speak. They're constantly swimming to the top. So if you've got cory cats and you throw in vinegar eels, those vinegar eels, chances are they're never going to get eaten by those baby cories or your regular cories, because they're going to be up at the surface and your cories are down at the bottom. And just things to look into like that. So baby brine shrimp, I would say, is one of my favorites. It is probably one of the most labor intensive ones, aside from maybe keeping a clean harvestable blackworm culture, because they foul a tank so quick. But Bentley Pasco did a great video on this, and he looked at the nutrition between a bunch of different live foods. It's one of the most nutritious foods there is. It's not hard to make. It is a constant. I have to make this today. But it's also nice because if you're not breeding, you could just stop making it, and then you can start it right back up. You don't have to go try and get a new culture because, oh, I haven't kept microworms in 6 months. I don't know where any are. I have to try and get with somebody at the club or order some online. So it is nice to have the option to just start and stop. I love those for a lot of fish. Conditioning as well as raising fry. There's, I guess, quote unquote, some debate about it, but a lot of people in the hobby will agree that oftentimes it seems as though if you are putting those smaller foods in, those food that will feed fry, that angels and a lot of other fish will kind of acknowledge the fact that there is a food source present if they do reproduce. And so that can kind of tend to trigger, they go, oh, it's time to make babies because there's food available for babies. So let's make us some babies. I don't have any scientific proof to back that up, just experience and talking to a lot of other people who have kind of noticed and felt the same way. But those are kind of my thoughts. The only other thing I would add for advice, because I don't know exactly what you wanted, would be I would probably go with at least a standard 20 gallon if you're going to do a breeding pair in there. I don't know what tank size you were doing. Now that I've rambled on, Ed, would you like to add to that? Because I left plenty of stuff out, but you know.
Well, I was paying attention to a lot of it, but I drifted a couple times because I watched the stupid fish trying to get to another fish in the weeds over here. And so I may say something you already said. So I'm just going to say that I think you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
And I'm sorry that this devil keeps distracting me terribly.
Devil made him do it. Stephanie McGettigan, always good to see you. Again, thanks for being a member. Says, hi, I'm having a bad time right now with brown algae. All my decor looks terrible. What can I use to clean everything, and how can I prevent it from coming back? So if it is that brown diatom algae, which you can Google that for images, or you could do a YouTube search to just kind of verify that that is what you've got going on if you're not familiar with it. Bristlenose plecos, that's one of the few things that I'm like, yes, they will clean that mess. Because oftentimes people are like, well, throw a pleco in there, and it's like they're not going to clean that mess. They will do wonders on brown diatom algae,
Nice.
amongst a couple other things. But oftentimes that's just part of letting a tank go through a process and allowing that brown diatom algae to kind of filter some of the stuff out of the water that's creating that bloom. And then typically it goes away. Oftentimes that can be, and it depends on where you're at, what your water source is, and what's inside of it. But oftentimes that can just be part of cycling a tank. That's kind of one of the steps. Set up a tank. I'm like, oh, we've got brown diatom algae. Nice. We're in the process of getting this thing established beyond just quote unquote cycled, so that we have a functioning ecosystem with a lot of biodiversity involved. Manually, I almost said mechanically. Wow, words are hard. Manually, you could go in there, scrub the stuff up while you're doing a water change and siphon a bunch of it out. But it's honestly something I really don't worry about, except like I'll clean my front glass just so I can look in there. But it tends to kind of eat itself out of nutrition, is what I have found. And again, bristlenose plecos. I can't think of a time I haven't had bristlenose since I stumbled upon them in the hobby. So a lot of times I might transition one or two over there and let them go to town for a little bit.
I need to turn the lights off in this tank. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, buddy. Do what you need to do. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, you think it could be worth getting into breeding ADF? Even my LFS can only find small numbers of them. So when it comes to recommending what to breed and how often to breed or how much to breed, I'm always a little bit reluctant, just because it varies so much, not just even from location, but just time of year. This goes to anything. This is going to be generalized breeding recommendations, so to speak. I find that number one, if you're going to breed something, make sure that you're actually passionate about breeding that thing. It's great to say, yeah, angelfish are great to breed because they're a great seller. Yes, that's true. And oftentimes angelfish can be one of the easier things to quote unquote offload because people are always looking for them. But if you have no way to get rid of those angelfish, or we'll stick with number one, if you don't enjoy angelfish and you don't like breeding them and raising the fry and all of that, I'm not going to tell you to breed angelfish, even though that might be the most profitable thing for you in your area where you're at. Another part of that would be, which you touched on that, saying even the LFS can only find small numbers. Always make sure you have an exit strategy for whatever you're going to breed, whether that is your local fish store, knowing that you have some other hobbyists that you can sell to online, going on Aquabid and creating an account. You really want to make sure, especially when you get into things that will drop, hundreds of eggs, you're going to have a lot of fry from it. And this is why I don't recommend a lot of people breed bettas, because they don't realize, oh, I ended up with all these bettas and now I have nothing to do with them.
That's why I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, I mean, even so, I don't remember exactly. I think it was a white betta that Master Breeder Dean had bred back in the day, and Corey had gotten some for the shop. It was like, okay, we sold 20 of them. Now we're stuck with the rest of them because they're not moving anymore. And I mentioned that instance specifically because even a high level breeder and somebody that has, a shop and is constantly doing that with bettas can have a hard time moving them. So it's if it's something that you will enjoy breeding and something that that you have an exit strategy for, you have some place that you can outsource those fish to, then I would say go for it. But keep in mind, regardless of what fish we're talking about here, you might end up stuck with some fish. In the summertime is not great business time for the aquarium hobby, not just online, but actual fish stores. People are spending money going out, going on vacations and all that stuff. Money dwindles in the hobby during that time. So keep in mind, if you're going to do something long term, like, okay, during the summer, I might not even be able to offload a fish to the local fish store because they're not really selling anything. So they don't have money to be paying me and B, space to be taking in these things. That's applicable to pretty much anything that you're going to breed. But I'd say give it a shot, Hip Hop Hillbilly. And I think that you could probably do something there. Oh, wow. Let's see. I am over my time and way behind here. Let me see if there's anything, and chat just jumped on me. I'm going to address the super chats and stickers real quick, and anything I see that's like, oh my God, I have an emergency, help me here. And then we're going to jump over to Chattanooga Ed, who is not doing crafted tonight. Ed, do you want to tell him what you're doing while I make sure I don't miss anything?
We're going to do a fish versus fish episode where we are going to find out what the #1 tetra is. And that's why I had all the numbers on. I've been thinking about cardinals all day long. So that's why I had the numbers on the cardinals when he was talking about it, the pH and stuff. But, yep, we're going to talk about cardinals. We're going to let you guys vote on it. We're going to get James's opinion. And we're also going to have Skipper on there, and he's going to give his opinion. And we're going to find out what the best not the best cardinal is, the best tetra is.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to burn through this real quick. Just thank you to those of you that had some comments and things. Buddy Viper, Whips World, Oink Master, if you would bring that crab question over to Ed's, I know that he'd be happy to talk about crabs a little bit. Let's see, Sarah, I would be happy to talk to you about that in Messenger. We could discuss dropping shorts and stuff like that. Paul, we're good there. TJ Autocross, always great to see you. Yes, TJ, if you're going to follow us over, I could talk about it on Ed's if you ask there, or, well,
sure.
We won't talk so much about stuff on there because it's not a craft. But TJ, I think I've got you on Instagram now or Facebook. I saw where I missed your message by like 8 months. You had messaged me. I'm like, oh, God, I feel like a jerk because it was hidden in a not accepted folder. And Only Oscars got gifted a membership by Xanadu. Welcome, Only Oscars, and thanks again, Xanadu. Bruiser, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Get back in here. Misfit, good to see you. All right. Lady Diane did have a membership milestone super chat, been a member for 7 months. Says, excellent, thank you so much. Currently have them on BBS. I have baby Corys on the banana and micro worms, and vinegar eels are cooking. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a member. One thing I do want to add in on the live foods, specifically when it comes to like the micro banana worm, nematodes. It has been noted that if you're feeding exclusively that, it can cause some fin development damage, specifically in bettas is where it was seen. So just like anything, feed a variety. Don't just feed one certain thing. Did I miss some other stuff? I think I got everybody. Ricky De Hoyos was in here. I missed that. Been a member for almost a year. Says football season's around the corner. Ricky, sorry I didn't see that earlier. It slid past me, but I appreciate you, my friend. I really do. On that note, I've run over by 5 minutes, and the guy that goes after me is really a jerk about time. So we better get out of here. Lady Diane throwing in that last minute $10 super chat, super sticker with that cute little fox holding up the little heart there. Thank you, Lady Diane. Appreciate it. Ed, as always, my buddy, pal, and co-host, thank you for hanging out tonight. We're going to go over to the Chattanooga Ed channel and do a fish versus fish. A huge thank you to all my moderators, members, lurkers, listeners, super chatters, contributors, questioners, commentators, and of course the replay crew. I love you guys. Until next time, keep your fish healthy, keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.